Happy Monday from the southern Nevada desert alongside Tyler Fulgham. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. This is Bet. Welcome to Concussion Protocol Monday. What does it mean? How does it work? Former NFL General Manager Mike Tannenbaum is going to explain everything regarding Patrick Mahomes, the injury, and what it's going to take to get him back on the field. We've got NBA picks. We've got Tim Legler set to join us, former three-point shooting champion. We'll talk about what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets, as well as play a little trivia with Tim Legler. But first, we remind you, if you're looking for some more sports betting content, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. It's where everything's migrating. We're going to have plenty of stuff we do this week and leading up to the Super Bowl regarding props that we will be putting there. How you doing? Sorry about your
Rams. I was doing the concussion protocol here, just seeing if I could follow the pen without moving my head. And
is that a new pen? I noticed the ink line's very high.
Ink line is high, baby. I don't even know if this bad boy's been used yet. So
you're in good shape.
Congratulations to you. You are witnessing history here with this nice G2.
All right, it's Monday. That means we begin with a little reaction or no action. I read a statement. Mr. Fulgham either reacts to that statement or he has no action. He disagrees, no action whatsoever. Here is where we will begin. Reaction or no action? Buffalo Bills wide receiver Stefon Diggs, who is one of the best in the business this season, will have at least 2 touchdown receptions in Sunday's AFC Championship game.
No action on that bad boy. As great as Stefon Diggs is, I think he'll have a big game because he's always catching 6 or 7 balls for 100 yards. That's just how good he is right now. But he's not necessarily an end zone dominator, so to speak. He's not the Devontae Adams who gets in the end zone on multiple occasions in a game. Just one game this year where he had 2 or more touchdowns. That was Week 16, where they beat up on the New England Patriots. Yep. KC allowed the second fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers, and that's kind of a broad, vague metric, but they're good at limiting your wide receiver production. They only had 2 wide receivers this year who scored multiple touchdowns in a game against them, Mike Evans and Tim Patrick of the Denver Broncos, because L'Jarius Sneed's been great as a rookie. Tyrann Mathieu is really, really good, and I don't know what it is about Steve Spagnuolo's defense this year in specific, but they've been good at limiting wide receiver-specific production. So while I do think Diggs will have a nice day, again, 6, 7 catches for 80, 90, 100 yards, maybe a touchdown, 2 is, I think, asking too much in terms of probability.
Give me 3-1, and I'll react, and I'll go ahead and bet that. 3-1.
3-1.
Everything you laid out, the past, the history, what happens with Kansas City, all very good information. So it is unlikely something like this will happen. But I want to throw a few things your way. Diggs, in terms of targets and receptions. During the regular season, 10 targets per game, 7 receptions per game. During the playoffs, 10 targets per game, 7 receptions per game. The level of competition has increased. His game remains the same. He's found the end zone in both playoff games so far, and in addition to that, there's no running game with Buffalo anymore.
Right.
Did they even run the ball once? Yes, they ran the ball a few times against Baltimore. But if Zach Moss's injury is going to force this team to be pass first, and they could be throwing a lot if the Chiefs get up big on him in this game, Diggs is going to have opportunities to get into the end zone. I will play for the reaction there. Give me 3-1. I want to price 3-1.
You may have.
At the House of Fulgham Sportsbook. Fulgham Palace Sportsbook.
Fulgham Palace. Ooh, that's kind of
sounds nice, doesn't it? Reaction or no action number 2. Tom Brady will have more passing yards than Aaron Rodgers, his counterpart, in this Sunday's NFC Championship game.
Yeah, no action again for me. Green Bay had the second-ranked secondary in the National Football League, according to Pro Football Focus, behind only the LA Rams. You got Jair Alexander, you got Kevin King, Adrian Amos. They've been awesome in terms of limiting what you can do through the air. Again, the way to attack Green Bay all year long has been on the ground. We saw the Rams try and do that with Cam Akers, who had a nice day, but the fact that Aaron Rodgers got so far out in front of them, they couldn't really keep pounding Cam Akers to stay in that game in the divisional round. Matt LaFleur, I think he's going to have to put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands as well, because on the other side, we know that the Tampa Bay rush defense was the best in the NFL this year, and they might be getting Vita Vea, their big 350-pound space eater, back for this game, just further fortifying that defensive line. So I do think the Packers win this game, and if they're going to do that, as great as Aaron Jones is, Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT, the greatest, and they're going to rely on 12 to knock down Tom Brady to beat that Tampa Bay defense. So I think Rodgers is the guy who has the most passing yards, in that game.
Mind meld, I'm with you on this one. No disagreement whatsoever. Saturday morning, we did an episode of Daily Wager, and we were looking for odds on who would rush for the most yards this weekend, who would throw for the most yards. Aaron Rodgers was 11-1. 11-1 of the 8 quarterbacks playing. Rodgers was 11-1, and he did it. He threw for more yards than anybody, and he did it against the best defense in the NFL. well in the Los Angeles Rams. Tampa is going to come out. They're going to want to run the ball in this game. That's Green Bay's weak spot, running the ball against Green Bay. As my colleague alluded to over here, Cam Akers had a mighty fine performance against that defense. That is how you keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. Rodgers, Packers aren't going to be doing as much. If you're going to win, you're going to do it on the arm of 12. He's going to throw for more than Brady. Reaction or no action, number 3. The Tampa Bay Green Bay over-under is currently listed at 51 points. The Kansas City Buffalo over-under is currently listed at 54 points. So, reaction or no action? Both games will go over the total this weekend.
No action yet again. Is Patrick Mahomes playing?
We do not know.
Don't know that, because if Patrick Mahomes is not playing, boy, I think that total's a wee bit too high in Kansas City. And we just saw, again, the Buffalo offense has, it's been great all season long, but they scored just 10 points basically in that matchup against Baltimore last week. And Taron Johnson, with his big interception return, provided another 7. This worked for me last week with the Saints and the Bucks, but I found a great metric, and now it's been updated to be 22 of 29 games involving Tom Brady since 2015 with a total north of 50 have gone under, including last week's matchup with the Saints.
You didn't even need to look at your notes
No,
for that.
I
got
just
it memorized.
remembered it from last week,
Wow.
being 21 of 28. I did the simple math of saying last night's game went under, so that's
Add
now
1.
22 of 29 games since 2015 where Tom Brady's the starting quarterback and the totals north of 50 have gone under. So I'm going to know no action on this. At least one's going under.
Agreed. 3 points. Number 1, the 4 defenses playing this weekend gave up an average of 14 points per game over the weekend. Now, that's a very small sample size. Reason number 2, both games are going to be hosted in cold weather cities that could bring weather issues to the table. And number 3, bookmakers know the public wants to bet overs in marquee games like this. They'll shade the number a little bit higher in some instances. There might be some value on the under. Maybe one goes over. I don't see both going over. Reaction, no action, number 4. We have not seen Kyrie Irving suit up for the Brooklyn Nets since January 5th when he scored 29 points in a win over the Utah Jazz. Since that time, the Nets have played 6 games. So, reaction or no action? Kyrie Irving will not finish the season with the Brooklyn Nets.
A clean sweep for the no action bros.
Oh.
Where is Kyrie going to go? Like who's going to take Kyrie at this point? Who's going to take his salary? Who's going to take whatever issues are forcing him to miss time with his team? So bottom line is, now that Harden is there, he should be as inspired to play as ever before. So no action. He's either with the Nets or he's not playing basketball this year.
Disagree. I will say action, because I interpret this as you might be under contract with the Nets, but you're not with the Nets, right? Like, you're kind of dating, but you haven't seen each other in a while. It's 8th grade. She's holding hands with someone else by the lockers.
My word.
You're with, but not necessarily with. It took 8 games. 8 games into this season before there was an issue. 8 games. Everyone predicted there would be issues. 8 games is all it took, and there was an issue. So now you add Harden to the mix. He's had problems in Cleveland. He's had problems in Boston. He's having problems in Brooklyn. I see them continuing.
Who was the 8th grader who was holding hands with Mark Smith in the Allentown middle school hallways?
Sore subject. I would prefer not to talk about it.
I know.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
Those scars take a while to heal. Those scars take a while to heal.
All right, let's get down to business. 10-year NBA veteran, ESPN NBA analyst, the great Tim Legler, kind enough to join us here on Bet as we want to talk about Kyrie Irving and some games that are taking place. Legs, you have a special announcement to make. What's going on?
Oh, yeah, I got to, before we start, I got to wish a happy birthday to my mom. 86th birthday. She's down in Richmond, Virginia. Miss her very much. This COVID-19 has made it tough for the last 10 months getting together with her, but my heart and mind are with her today, so I had to wish Mama Legs a happy 86th birthday before we start.
Mama Legs,
happy birthday, Mama
congratulations.
Legs. Happy
86
birthday.
years young.
86 years young.
Well, it's awkward to transition from Mama Legs' birthday into Kyrie Irving, but that's exactly what we're going to do. James Harden busted loose with a triple-double in his first game as a member of the Brooklyn Nets. However, Irving didn't play in that game, and he's not going to play in tonight's game against Milwaukee. How hard do you think it's going to be to incorporate him into this offense when he eventually comes back and is willing to play with these guys?
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be difficult. That's why I'm skeptical about this whole thing coming together, because it's one thing to have James Harden and Kevin Durant, two very ball-dominant guys, 2 elite scorers, 2 of the best this league's ever seen. Pairing those guys up on short notice and expecting it to mesh. Then throwing a third guy into the mix, that's that dribble-dominant That's going to be difficult. Now, obviously, the talent is there, so I think anybody would be foolish to think, well, it's impossible to pull it off. I'm not going to go there because if it does click, you're talking about anywhere from 70 to 90 points on a given night from 3 players. So they have enough firepower most nights to win games, but it's not going to be an easy transition once Kyrie comes back because of the amount that he dribbles the basketball when you already have a guy like James Harden, who is the most dribble-dominant player in the NBA. So I think it's going to be a challenge the further this drags on. But ultimately, look, it's going to be an isolation-based team. And on some nights, those guys are making shots. You're not going to be able to slow them down, and they're going to win a lot of games.
All right, Legs, if you look at Caesars William Hill right now, the Bucks 3.5-point road favorites in Brooklyn at Barclays against KD and James Harden. Would you lay that with the Bucks on the road, or do you think that KD and Harden can protect their home house?
Yeah, I think for me, I probably would lay the points on that when I look at the Bucks. One of the problems the Nets are going to have defensively is they're going to play a lot of lineups with Kevin Durant and Joe Harris as your forwards. And Kevin Durant is an elite defensive player, but he doesn't have a lot of physical brawn and strength. And Joe Harris is an undersized 4 if you're going to play him there. So the problem against this team, you've got to have size and strength and big bodies to wall up against a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo. So if they're going to play those lineups, and look, they're going to get their share on the other end. But I think slowing this team down and really stopping Giannis Antetokounmpo from gutting you in the paint, that's going to be their biggest problem. DeAndre Jordan will be out there. He's a guy that obviously can defend the rim. The problem is when Giannis penetrates, DeAndre Jordan goes to help. Brook Lopez is standing out there at the three-point line. So this is a very difficult team to match up with. Obviously, there's a reason they have the best record in the East. I would probably lay the points, particularly when you look at the fact that Harden and Durant, even though they had a great debut together, some of that was adrenaline. Let's see now if there's maybe some rough patches in Game 2 and those guys don't quite have nights like they did in the first one.
Over-under for Nets-Bucks is sitting at a lofty 239.5. We know all about the offensive firepower these two teams bring to the table, but there are a lot of questions about Brooklyn's defense. And given so, would you be willing to side with the under here?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's just a big number anyway. You know, to go into an NBA game, and I know it's not the 90s when I played, where, you know, if you got to 100, you had a really good chance to win. It's a lot different league. I understand that. But still, when you're talking about 240, I mean, that's a big number to get to, particularly a team that's got the defensive prowess of the Bucks over the last couple of years. So I would probably lean on the under in this one. But I think you'll get a good flair for it early. If James Harden and Kevin Durant have big first quarters, that could be blown out the door.
All right, Lex, finally in the nightcap, we get a fun one between the LA Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. Right now, the Warriors getting 8.5 points against LeBron and AD, who are, by the way, riding a 5-game win streak and look every bit like one of the best teams in the NBA. Fun fact here, I want to make sure I get this right. Underdogs of at least 7 points this season are winning outright almost 29% of the time, 28.8 to be exact. So what kind of chance do you give the Warriors tonight as more than 7-point dogs to beat LeBron and AD outright?
Well, I'll tell you what, some things are going to have to change if they're going to have a chance in this game. Obviously, the Lakers are an elite defensive team. They're the deepest team in the NBA, so you know what you have on your hands. But look, Golden State is more than capable of staying with them, potentially winning the game if a couple of things happen. The first is you got to get more consistency out of Kelly Oubre with just his catch-and-shoot opportunities. He has been so streaky from the three-point line, and he is not doing enough to alleviate some of the pressure on Steph Curry. And then secondly, Draymond Green, he's a guy to me I look at and say, does he still think that Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant are on the floor? Because he's taking 4 shots a game as a starter, playing 27 minutes. That's the second fewest shot attempts since his rookie year. And this is a guy that has to understand they need 10, 12, 15 points out of Draymond Green. He's got to take advantage of opportunities. He's out there as a complete non-threat, and I know he can facilitate by moving the ball, and he's an elite defender. They need points with this team, particularly against a team like the Lakers. So if Draymond Green comes out more aggressive and Oubre shoots the ball well, Golden State can hang around in the game. I just think this is a really difficult matchup for most teams, but right now maybe especially for Golden State, which just has not gotten consistent supplemental production for Steph Curry.
All right, Tim, that was the easy part of you joining Joe and I here on Bet. It's time now to get away from questions about basketball we'll see today into Tim Legler Trivia. And I know one of the proudest moments for Mama Legs a few years back, we won't say exactly how many, was when you won the 1995 three-point shootout contest during All-Star Weekend. Look at a young Legs right there.
Beautiful.
Look at that light-colored salad he's got on top of his dome. It was 96.
Flowing.
The hair was flowing.
Beautiful.
96 winner, back in your day when we could still call them the Bullets. But is that, by the way, your three-point contest trophy over your right shoulder?
Yeah, that's it right there.
Nice.
Signed up for you and ready to go.
Looking good, just as you are, Legs. Let's start with some three-point trivia. Again, all these questions going to be related to the three-point contest during All-Star Weekend. Who made the most consecutive shots in three-point shootout history?
That would be Craig Hodges, I believe 19 in a row.
Wow, he even gets the bonus point for getting the number.
That was an incredible
from
start.
Deep.
An
Timmy Legler,
incredible
1 for
start.
1.
Question number 2. The money ball at the end of the rack gave birth to what eventually became known as the money ball rack. In which year?
Oh, it's not that far back. I'm going to say 2017.
Close. 2014. 2014, but you're only 3 off, which fits what we're doing.
By the way, I would have loved to have that thing, man. From the right wing, if I had 5 money balls from the right wing, I was going to get 10 points. I guarantee you that.
All right, Legs. Question number 3. Which year was the first year of the three-point competition?
Oh, let's see. I think it was, so let's go Larry Bird, I believe, won it. I'm going to go 1984.
Okay, we're going to give you that. It wasn't 84, it was 86, but you were right. Larry Bird said who's coming in second and put that finger up in the air as the ball was flying through the air and then finally switched through the net. An
won the first
moment.
3, I believe. I think he won the first 3 of those, if I'm not mistaken. He won three consecutive years.
Well, they call him Larry Legend.
Question number 4. Who was the youngest player to win the three-point contest?
Oh my goodness.
I'll give you a hint. He's in the league now.
Right.
And we may or may not have been talking
Klay
about
Thompson.
him throughout the course of this show.
Klay Thompson.
Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving won it at
Kyrie.
20 years of age, believe it or not. 20 years old.
Absolute sniper. All right, we'll get you back on track. I think you're going to get this one, Legs. Who is the only 7-footer to ever win the three-point shootout?
Dirk Nowitzki.
Bing, bing, bing.
Boom.
Sprechen Sie Dirk. Dirk, the only 7-footer to win. Legs goes 3 for 5, 60% from downtown. That'll get it done, as Legs always did from deep. Awesome stuff, Timmy Legler. And again, happy birthday to Mama Legler, 86 years young. We wish her the best back on the East Coast.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Legs. All right, we got games. The show's called Bet, and we have spent an inordinate amount of time not making wagers. So let's get to it. NBA Monday Night Pick'em is what we're calling this.
Okay.
Bucks are laying 3.5 against the Milwaukee.
Bucks are laying 3.5 against the
Themselves.
Brooklyn Nets.
Focus
Brooklyn
against the
Nets.
Brooklyn Nets, which we've been talking about the entire show. Total 239.5. You can go anywhere you want here.
Kyrie is not playing. Will miss his 7th straight game. So I will preface by giving a little extra. I think the triple-double for James Harden is in play again. The assist going over, since he'll be initiating a lot of the offense, and Kevin Durant over his point total. But speaking of triple-doubles, I noticed that Giannis is sitting there at 14-1.
14-1.
14-1 to go 3-2. We know a double-double is all but guaranteed for Giannis. He's going to get his 10 points, his 10 rebounds. So for a guy who's averaging right around 5 assists this season, he is, this is a key metric, he is dishing out 10.7 potential assists per game. So that's going to be relying on his teammates converting when he sets them up. Both teams are top 8 in pace, so there should be added volume, added opportunities, added possessions.
Total's 239.5.
239 total. I mean, 120 to 125 points for each team. And then narrative street for Giannis. I know Kyrie's not playing, but this is potentially your biggest threat in the Eastern Conference. And the one thing that's weighing Giannis down for a lot of people is his inability to get over these teams in the postseason. So, Giannis, if you can give me 10 assists, I think we'll get a triple-double. And the probability of that is boosted by the game environment being a close spread and a very high total.
Surprised the number is this low, but everyone's very excited about the Brooklyn Nets. I'll lay the points with the Milwaukee Bucks. Have we forgotten how good Milwaukee is during the regular season? As much offense as Brooklyn brings to the table, Milwaukee is still number 1 in offensive rating. They're second in scoring at 120 points per game. Behind, who's scoring more points than the Milwaukee Bucks this season?
Not many offenses do that.
Believe it or not, one team, the Washington Wizards, are the only team scoring more.
They also give up more than like the JV.
Right, give up more than everybody. Not a good balance. Brooklyn's defense is a huge concern. Chemistry is a concern. Depth is a concern. I have none of those concerns with Milwaukee.
Right.
They're actually 7th in defensive rating. I will lay the points with the Bucks. Game number 2, it's the Lakers and the Warriors. Los Angeles laying 8.5 with a total of 226. Props on the table.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with the prop here again. It worked for me last time they played Anthony Davis over 3.5 stocks. That's steals plus blocks. It's not Tesla. It's not anything in the market. It's steals plus blocks for maybe the best defensive player in the entire NBA. He has 4+ steals and blocks or stocks in 5 of his last 7 games. Golden State is a great matchup to get these defensive numbers. They're 3rd in pace, but 24th in offensive rating. So they play fast, but they're not necessarily efficient or good on offense, leading to turnovers, leading to block shots in the lane. And you get $1.30 back for every dollar you invest, so a good return if AD does indeed get 4 steals plus blocks.
I am going to take the Warriors team total under 109 total points. The Lakers are a pretty good defense. In fact, number 1 in defensive rating this season. They're 3rd in points allowed per game. They're giving up just 104 per game, and they're 19th in pace, so they're not exactly flying up and down the court. Now, for the Warriors, they've been playing better as of late, but here's the key. They have played just 3 games this season against a top 15 team in terms of defensive rating. Only 3. And in those games, they scored 99 points, 95 points, and 99 points. So when they step up and play better defenses, they don't score.
Yikes.
This is the best defense in the association that they'll be facing tonight. I don't see them getting to 110 points. Warriors under 109 total points for the team total. Now, the fallout from the AFC and NFC Championship games has been big, to say the least. We're turning our attention to the championship games we're going to see this weekend, most notably what's going to be happening with Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And for more on that, we're going to welcome in NFL front office executive Mike Tannenbaum, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Mike, we appreciate the time and, more importantly, the insights. Thank you very much. Mahomes is currently in the league's concussion protocol after the injury he sustained yesterday against Cleveland. What does he need to do, and in what time frame, in order to play on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills?
Great to be with you guys. There's a series of steps, and to start with, a few of them will be under the control of the Kansas City medical staff. So in the spring, all players, including Patrick Mahomes, goes through a number of baseline tests in terms of cognitive processing and in terms of just how his brain functions and in what time period. And those are normal baselines that every player has. This week, he will have to go through those same tests. And as long as they're the same, he could progress. He could progress to increasing his heart rate, having cardiovascular activity, and have very limited return to practice, no contact. Later in the week, if all those boxes are checked, the last and most important step, guys, is an unaffiliated neurologist who's completely independent from the team. And we got to give the league and the Players Association a ton of credit here. That's the last box that has to be checked. And in my 20 years of experience, I've seen players that felt great. We thought they were going to get cleared. And at the last second, there was a bump in the road that the independent neurologist doesn't clear them. And other times, the week didn't go great. They went to the independent neurologist and did get clear. The most important takeaway is the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes at the end have no control. And Thursday and Friday, things could be looking good, and let's hope he plays. But until the last step, the most important step, the independent neurologist checks that box and says that the player is cleared and back to normal, Patrick Mahomes will not be eligible.
All right, Mike, on the other side, the way to attack the Kansas City Chiefs, or the Buffalo Bills, is with the run, obviously. And the Chiefs, similarly, they're very good against the pass. They're not as good against the run defensively. So depending on who is under center, whether it's Chad Henne or Patrick Mahomes, I think that's going to greatly change the way Sean McDermott looks how Andy Reid is calling run plays. Will he rely more heavily on the run if it's Henne? Will he just drop back and throw the ball every single time if it's Patrick Mahomes? How do you think the Bills are going to approach getting ready for the offensive game plan, not knowing who is the quarterback right now?
Yeah, no, I think that's really well said. If we look at the Bills' run defense in particular, it struggled during the season, but it's really improved the last couple of weeks. Baltimore had the number 1 rushing offense. They only scored 3 points last week. And the week before, they held a very talented Jonathan Taylor to only 78 yards. So I think the Bills' rush defense has been greatly improved. Chad Henne has to do a much better job with the ball. We're all talking about that 4th down conversion, but that interception was unacceptable. So I think this Bills' rush defense is improved, and I'm sure they're hoping that they see Chad Henne, not Patrick Mahomes.
Weather, shockingly, could be an issue at Lambeau Field this weekend when the Packers host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We know Brady's used to playing in cold weather, but the rest of his teammates don't necessarily have that outdoor experience in January and February. How does the forecast affect your opinion on how this game could play out?
Well, I think we have to put the Tampa Bay players, their skill players, into 2 buckets. So we have Gronk, Antonio Brown, Tom Brady. They're used to cold weather, be it New England, Pittsburgh. You look at Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, they don't have that experience. And in fact, when Mike Evans, which I think was week 13 of 2017, he only had 2 catches. But if I'm Tampa Bay, last week, I look at what the Rams did. They averaged a little over 5 yards a carry, led by Cam Akers. So the Rams were able to run the ball against that Green Bay defense. And I think, like what we saw yesterday, Tampa Bay was very balanced against New Orleans, and I think that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to be balanced on offense, keep Mike Penn and that Green Bay defense on its toes, knowing that the weather's going to be a factor. But the fact that the Rams were able to run the ball, that gives me some hope if I'm a Buccaneer fan.
ESPN NFL front office insider Mike Tannenbaum, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Mike, thank you so much for the time and the insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Fulgham versus Fortenbaugh. Playoff pick'em showdown. Everything but the Super Bowl. We're going to start a separate pick'em contest for the Super Bowl. Props galore, all that good stuff. Let's do a recap of how we performed this weekend. Not hot in the wild card round as we take a look at it. We're going to start with Tyler's picks for the weekend. Slouching, I see. Slouching. You had Tampa Bay. That was a good pick. They won outright. I'm going to choose to focus on the winner there.
Well, I mean, Patrick Mahomes got hurt, so that messed with the over. Baltimore didn't show up.
Yeah, because that game was really trending over prior to the injury.
A lot of nonsense there.
Cleveland had 3 points.
Bad calls, missed extra points, missed field goals.
Through the end zone.
Fumbling through the end.
Rule ever.
It was doomed from the jump there. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers he brought enough to the table to help get that. Jared Goff actually played pretty much better than I thought he would.
He did. Goff was effective.
Yeah, he was effective. So
he just happened to go against a really good football team. Which one do you regret the most?
Cleveland, KCO. I don't know. I regret them all. It was a regretful weekend, Joe.
Let's see how it went from the other chair. Joe's division
I hope you were at least one better.
As follows.
Wow!
Bang. Although I'll tell you what,
this.
I navigated my way through the weekend very well, and I still am upset about that New Orleans.
You know what stinks though? We were a roulette bet on Bucks and Saints.
Yeah.
So I do get an extra $1 to throw on the roulette table there.
I deserve
Even
it.
though you were 3-1, you know what? Right back at you for being 3-1. Right back at you for being 3-1. That's a good week.
When the Saints went 0 for 2 in the red zone on those first 2 possessions and went up 6-0, I knew I was cooked. I go, that is it. This is exactly what happens in every Saints playoff game. You have a huge, wonderful regular season. You get to the playoffs, then all of a sudden it's just misfire after misfire. Did you know, as we channel some old school ESPN, did you know the last time Drew Brees won 2 games in the same postseason was 2009 when he won the Super Bowl?
Been that long.
He hasn't won more than 1 game in a single postseason since the year he won the Super Bowl, which technically was 2 decades ago. Can you believe that?
That is rather remarkable because the Saints have, been to the postseason a lot.
Flame out central,
in the
New Orleans
last
Saints.
decade, and
nobody flames out.
They've had some heartbreak. The NFC Championship game against my Rams, the Minnesota
Vikings. It's always someone else's fault. Brees could not throw the ball, but congratulations on a great career. So overall, here's where we're at: 5-4-1, 2-7-1.
Oh, good.
But we've got one
Fantastic.
more weekend. You're going to have multiple options this weekend to get yourself back in it, and then we're going to wipe the slate clean, and we're going to move into the Super Bowl, which is going to be your wheelhouse because you're the man, the Prince of Props.
The
Self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed new.
Claim.
Well, I mean,
It's a nice name. I'm jealous.
I always do Daily Wager with the Queen of Props, Anita Mark, so I thought I'd be her pauper, her prince. You know?
All right.
Okay.
You're going to have your chance, and then we're going to have the full Super Bowl spectacular. That is it for this episode of Bet. We're going to be back Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. This is our new time. And then Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. But until then, thank you very much. Enjoy the basketball today.
Happy
We'll see you on
birthday,
Wednesday.
Mama Legs.